Obviously excited. I mean, excited to be able to earn this opportunity to host regionals. There's been a lot of work all around our stadium. I first want to thank everybody for all of their work, for helping get this ready for us to have the best regional. I think Texas A&M always does a tremendous job when hosting. We're excited to be able to play in front of the 12th man, and I'm just looking forward to us coming out and playing Aggie softball.
You know, a lot of ladies have talked and coach about, last year coming up just short at Texas. Of course, now it's here. I guess, ladies, what do you think is different, or what do you feel is going to be different about this year?
I feel like we're all on the same page and ready to compete. I feel like we've worked hard all year. Coach has been on us, and we've been taking it, and we've just been grinding. So I just think we've all just pushed ourselves even more just from, four more outs, as she's been saying. So I just feel like we've been ready, and we've been competing.
Yeah, and I think we know what it takes. So we've been there, we have experience, and then obviously the freshmen have really worked their way up this year and have been in some of those tougher games. So I think we know what it takes to make it to where we want to be. So we're just keeping that mindset the whole time.
Travis?
Mayo, last year in the NCAA tournament is kind of where you took it to a next level. How is going into this season's different than maybe last year for you personally?
I feel like personally it just helped me gain a little bit of confidence. I feel like that's what I was lacking. I just felt ready to compete over summer and break. I lifted more. I just worked on myself, so I just felt ready for this season.
Yeah, do you have everybody has a special place for the postseason, but is it special to you because of what you were able to do last year?
Yeah, it's pretty special. I feel like I'm ready just to even do better than I did last season.
And how do you think you're a better athlete now?
Honestly, I just feel like I just got more in shape, and I feel like mentally I got a lot stronger.
Go to Kay.
Kay with Texags for Coach. You've talked about this mentality that you have throughout the year, like that it's fun, but it's also more fun when you're like kicking some tail, right?
Yeah.
How have you seen that mentality just permeate throughout the locker room this year?
I think you've seen it in our games, to be honest with you, and I think that's where that messaging shows up day in and day out. This team is very confident, and we've talked about that, but they've also shown the ability to be down, to be up, to put teams away, and I think when you have teams like that show that ability day in and day out, that's a sign of a team that I feel like really understands what it takes to win at a high level and also doesn't panic. I think that's the other thing about this team is, like Amari said, they've been there, they know what it looks like, and I think what they have done, because nobody a part of the team last year had been to that place, right? Well, now they have, but they've also helped bring along those that haven't been a part of it to this point in time. And so we understand what it takes to get through regionals. We know it's going to be hard. We're going to have some great competition here at Davis, and then we'll worry about next week, hopefully, after we take care of business this week. And they know that it's important for us to stay in this week and kind of what can happen if you don't, because it happened to us our first year together. And so, I think Amari, just nailed it, to be honest with you. And just to add on to that, what they have done as a unit is also help teach those that are younger or weren't part of our program what that looks like in the standard day in and day out.
Amari, just kind of going into practice today, did it feel different as the top dog, so to speak, maybe as opposed to last year where you guys hadn't been to that point before? What's different about this year?
Honestly, I don't think there's much different. I'm going to say maybe just obviously our seating, the positioning, what everything looks like is different, but I think our mindset and competitiveness has stayed the same. It doesn't matter who's on the other side. It could be the 64th seed or the 2nd seed. So I think going into practice today, it was just same thing, get our work in, get our reps in, hone in on what we need to tweak or fix, and then we'll deal with the games as they come. But I don't think much has changed from this year to last year.
Yeah, and then just kind of talking about, that 64th seed. We just talked to St. Francis, them moving down to D3. It's been a tough year for them, but they really feel like, maybe they're playing their best softball. How have you guys prepared for maybe just what they're going to bring to the table?
I think we've just focused on what we know best, and how we're going to attack them is doing what we've worked on this entire year, which is hunting strikes, playing clean defense. I think if we do that to our best level and together, we could beat anybody.
Trisha, when you're hosting the regional as the 1 seed, and you have 3 teams coming in that are not from power conferences. You guys just got done playing a brutal SEC schedule. Just you're used to the grind day in and day out of those kind of teams. What kind of challenges does it present when, I don't know, do you feel like you're about to see some new teams that maybe have different styles you haven't seen in a while?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the one thing that I think this team does a great job, and they've shown their ability to be able to do this, is transition from pitcher to pitcher throughout a game. And so really it's just that mindset. You saw them be able to do that in our last game we were able to play against Texas. We went through 4 pitchers in 5 innings. Like, that's really going to be their job tomorrow is, that can be an excuse. And we don't live in the land of excuse around here. And so I think for them, they understand what they're supposed to do. They're understanding, we're going to think oppo, like all of these things, these tools, like Amari was saying, that we've practiced throughout the year, whether we're facing somebody throwing 77 or facing somebody that's throwing 55. It doesn't really matter. That mindset stays the same. And so for us, it's about coming out and really executing. And we have, preseason faced some different kind of arms. Maybe some teams, I could see them doing some hit and runs and button runs and some short game things, all of those things, like that's what practice is for. So this week, we mighty tidied up a little bit on our button defense, tidied up a little bit on our short game. Just some things that I think that we're going to see here in this regional.
And Maya, that kind of motto slogan of, 4 more outs, what has that meant to you, and just kind of how much of a motivating factor this whole year has that been?
Honestly, it's been very motivating. I feel like we never let down on ourselves, that we're always there to compete. I just feel like hearing that, we just want to push through that and get to the World Series. That's been our goal since the start.
For both Amari and Maya, just how good does it feel to have this regional and be right here on your home turf?
It's great. It's so nice. And obviously moving forward, winning this weekend and going into super regionals, and we'd be at home too. So it's great being in your own bed. And and being on your own time, your own routine, it's amazing.
Just having the 12th man out there, it's electric out there. Like, I love seeing all the bubbles and all the fans cheering for us. It's just an amazing feeling, and I'm ready for that.
And St. Francis pointed out how hot it is out there. Is that going to be an advantage for you guys this weekend?
Yes.
I definitely think any team that's coming from the East Coast or even the West Coast, if you have not been in the Midwest in the past month, you're in for a rude awakening, really. Yeah.
Hey, Coach. John Portman with the Houston Chronicle. I just want to ask you about Emily Kennedy and the impact that she's had on, this program during her time here, and also what she's going to mean to this team as you go through this postseason run.
Yeah, I mean, Lefty has been huge for us. She is somebody that always had the tool set to be one of the best pitchers to ever play this game. I think you can really see her progression each year. This year we challenged her in a lot of different ways. She faced every single one of our hard preseason opponents. Emily Kennedy got the ball. And so there's just so much film on her. So this year was a challenge for her. And I think she just continues to rise to the top. She continues to work on her game. We have talked amongst the SEC of the coaches of, I think we've gotten our strike zone very accurate, and it feels very small, but it's accurate. And so trying to teach these pitchers that have been been used to getting, maybe chalk to chalk and what that looks like, and how to be able to manipulate the strike zone through the zone. Maybe you're not getting this call, so how do you manipulate through that? And so I think she's just done a tremendous job of being able to manipulate her pitching through the zone and really understand how to use her tools to her advantage, where I think in years past you've seen her get emotional about it. And so I think, her and I have talked, like, it's time for her to go do Emily Kennedy things, and she's ready for it. This is what I think the whole team has been waiting for this whole year, is right now what we're about to enter. So there's a lot of excitement, I think, in our clubhouse. I think there's also a lot of determination of, and they'll tell you, I always tell them there's ways that I find chips on our shoulder, and there's been a lot of talk about our seeding and, what have you, and that's fine. I wish they would keep telling us that, because we're going to keep proving them wrong.
Braxton Dory for the battalion here. This is a question for Amari. So you've, built this bond with your teammates over the past few years here in Aggieland. Just kind of talk about that and how that's kind of gotten you out of some hard situations as a team and how you're looking to kind of build upon that here in this postseason.
Yeah, it's been great. I think even from upperclassmen to lowerclassmen this year especially, we've been super close, and it's been really easy to just play with each other and have each other's back. So I think moving forward, that's going to be huge for us, whether we're down or up, or one person's having a great day, one person's having a bad day, just trying to stay consistent through it all emotionally. And I think we have great connections overall, so that's going to be huge for us trying to get to the World Series.
Trisha, going back to last year, what was it that stood out to you that kind of clicked that Maya was ready at this time of year? And then now when you look a year later, how is she different, and how has she been able to do everything she's been able to do this year?
Yeah, this is Maya Perez, if I'm going to be honest with you. I've watched that kid since she was 12, and she has been phenomenal every level she has ever been at. So this, I know that sounds crazy, is who I thought she always would be. And I will tell you that there's even more in the tank. And so, which is exciting. So I felt like last year actually threw me for a loop, if I'm being brutally honest. I was like, who are you right now? Like, what is this? Would you agree, Maya? Yeah. And I was like, you're Maya, you know what, Perez. Like, you hit everybody. Like, I have watched you I've probably watched thousands of her games. And so last year kind of threw me for a loop, and I was like, what's going on? And I think it just, everybody has a different path, and hers took a little bit of a detour, but I think she is better for it, to be honest with you. She had good at-bats last year. Like, she took some walks last year. Amari has known Maya forever, and she would tell you the same thing. Like, there is not a pitcher that Maya has ever faced throughout her whole career that she has not absolutely dominated. And so I feel like very comfortable this year, to be honest with you, of like, oh, I have my back. Like, I think that's, just being honest, like, she is a wrecking ball in the batter's box. Like, I would hate to face her. I gave her crap yesterday because we threw her a pitch, and I was like, Maya, how the heck did you get to that ball? She goes, that's my pitch, coach. And I'm like, okay, what pitch is not your pitch, So I think, we have a strong relationship, Maya and I do. We've known each other for a long time. She was supposed to come play for us at ASU. So, I think there's some connection pieces. She's got great parents, and we've talked about it. Maya, was probably contemplating about, do I belong here? Should I stay here after last year? And I think it says a lot about her parents and her upbringing of like, no, you're going to apply yourself more. You're going to give this. You're going to do X, Y, and Z. You're going to do all these things before you make that decision. And now, I'll give her one of these if she even decides to think about that. And she's not, you know what I mean? And so, but that's really like, she has to go through it and understand all those trials and tribulations and she's better coming out of it.
Well, Amari, how satisfying is it to see someone that you've known so long be as good as she's been?
It's great. It's fun. I love playing with Maya. We've grown up playing with each other for years, so it's very easy. This is her natural state on the field, so it's awesome to see.
Maya gets a little embarrassed when I talk nice about her.
Question for Coach. So you've got all these, proven winners here, conference tournament winners. Kind of how is that going to prepare you maybe to possibly move past what you did last year, or maybe even just move past this weekend?
Yeah, I think for us, it just always goes back to us coming out and playing our game, like just executing our game plan. I think that's what's going to get us through that. And our ability, we've shown it throughout this whole season of what that looks like, and how that gets us through. And so they have so many tools in their toolbox. I was talking to the pitchers today about some things about that. And sometimes you just have to get reminded of like, hey, you've done this before. You've done this. Like, we've been here, and this is how we've gotten out. This is how we've gotten through it. So, yeah, I imagine that we're going to have some hiccups this weekend. I think that's part of postseason. But I do think we're prepared to handle those hiccups and then persevere through them.
That being said, Trisha, you ended the regular season on a high note, and then you seemingly took it up a step at the SEC tournament. So how do you pick up where you left off? And I know you've taken enough teams to the NCAA tournament. You've had some experience. So how does that work?
Yeah, I think it's we don't talk about the noise, if I'm being honest with you, Cease. Like, we literally we are all business. And so I feel like we're a very consistent staff to the players. And I think that's how you pick up where you left off, is because this is what we do, this is how we do it, and this is why we do it. And so I think if I came out to practice and was like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you guys, like, da-da-da-da, they would give me those faces right there. You know what I mean? Of like, what is the matter with you and where is Coach Ford? And so I think us being very consistent, it's parenting 101. Of this is our standard and this is what you guys are capable of doing. And when you are anything less than that, I'm going to have a conversation with you about it. And they might have gotten one on Tuesday because Monday's practice was not up to my snuff. And my rule is after 24 hours, if I still feel away, I come and talk to you guys about it. And so I think it comes from consistency of how we approach them as coaches.
Okay, if we have no more in here, we'll move to our Zoom. Eric, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, first for the players, can you describe what's it like playing for Coach Ford?
Oh, God.
It's been awesome. Honestly, we've had a great relationship over the past few years, so I've really grown to understand her coaching style, her expectations. So it's very much a job, but I understand what is asked of us, what we need to relay to each other, how we need to work on things. So it's awesome. I love her. She's been so good to me, and I think she's really helped progress this team into what we want to be as a whole and where we want to be at the end of the day.
Coach Ford and I always had like a close bond. Even when I was younger, she's always watched me play. I just feel like she's always made me a better person, and she's gonna make me a better person once I'm out of softball. And she's also helped me gain confidence, and I'm truly thankful for her for that.
Question for Coach. You talked about Maya and her development and the time that it took. Was there a player this year that maybe expedited her process and maybe exceeded where you thought she would be at this point?
Yeah, I think we have several, and I think the reason why we have this, like if you talk to Allie Enright, I'm going to go kind of in a circle for you, Eric, sorry. But like Allie Enright talks about the effect that Jazz Hill had on her, right? And then if you talk to Kelsey Mathis, who is one that I feel like is somebody that fits this category, she will say the effect that Allie Enright had on her and helping her kind of grow and understand what this level looks like. And so Mathis is somebody like who gets as a freshman their first start against Tennessee, you know what I mean? Like who hits a home run their first at bat, like Kelsey Mathis does, you know? And so, and very similarly, like Maya can have those same conversations and probably did with Mathis of just like, hey, you keep working, your time's going to come, and all of this that you're putting in is going to pay off. I think Frankie Vrazel is another one that we've talked about that, Amari started the season and dove into third base and broke her finger. And so then it was like, okay, who's going to step up? And so Frankie did a tremendous job for us. And Amari, though, was her biggest fan, like talking her through, like going out to the outfield. Amari Harper is going out to the outfield where she's never played before and trying to help Frankie through this transition. Like, think about that, like wrapping your head around that. And so I think it just speaks volumes of what these players have done and the standard that they have set. And that's the legacy that they are leaving here. Does that make sense? And so, I'll be honest with you, I thought KK was going to be special, but I didn't think she was going to have the year that she's had this year. But I think really this all starts with those kids that started with us the first year and the legacy that they have left behind. And then the next year that player takes that and then adds to it. And then it keeps getting passed on. And that's how you have a consistent program that year in and year out is playing at a high level.
And then, Coach, when you look at this region, obviously you're going to start with St. Francis and what they're playing for. And then you've got Liberty and Marist also in this regional. What stands out to you as you have studied a little bit this region?
They're just going to be scrappy. Like, I feel like they're going to fight, tooth and nail against us. They're going to try to disrupt some timing. They're going to try to, like I said, be creative, maybe in the base pass or, offensively. So I think, every team that I've ever played against, Dot, they're scrappy. Same thing with Joe. from Marist. He came to ASU a couple of times for tournaments, and they're well coached, right? They do some things that are maybe unconventional, but they always compete. And so I think anybody at this point in time they're here for a reason, and so we have to be ready to counter, how they kind of come after us.